Hey guys, it's Kevin again, and this is going to be my review for the original Season 1, Episode 13, Crescent City. And this was another fantastic episode. I really enjoyed this one. One of the things I loved is that we got some really big reveals in this one. My only complaint is that this show is going on a 3-week hiatus, or 2-week hiatus, however it might be, because of the Olympics, and unfortunately, because of that, it's not going to be on. So whatever, but this show is just getting better and better, and I really hope that, we're getting really close to, now it's just, the witches are starting to take over, and it's really, really cool. So let's just get to this episode. So we start off where we see Monique. She wakes to the sound of a heartbeat. She sees that she's trapped, and she calls up for help. Now, meanwhile at the church, Father Kieran announces the reopening of St. Anne's, and Marcel and Klaus in the packed pews. Cami's in there too, and Klaus tells Marcel to pay attention to blend in with the devoted parishioners. A red-headed woman stands at the back of the vestibule, and there's a tour of a cemetery. Now, Celeste is giving the tour of the cemetery. They stop at the Deverex tomb where they hear someone crying out, and out falls Monique, who, at first, when I first saw Monique, I thought she was going to be like the Davina type. You know, she's a young witch. But the difference between Monique is that she's been a witch before, and she actually wants to be a witch. So at first I thought she was going to be like Davina, but she's not like Davina. But she kind of is making up for Davina not being there. That's what I kind of thought, that she's making up for Davina not being there, which makes me think that she's eventually going to get killed off. As soon as Sophie sees her, though, she's stunned that her niece is alive, and she hugs her, and something about Monique seems off. Something's off about her. We don't really know what it is, though. So Klaus tells Kieran that he's enjoying the sermon and asks about Papa Tundi. Now, as we know, Papa Tundi was killed, sacrificed himself for Celeste. Kieran says that he's heard nothing, and Marcel says he has a ton of power in him, and Kieran says he doesn't want to get involved. Cami congratulates him at church, and then her hustles off. Diego calls Klaus to say he's found a very dead Papa Tunde in one of those weird witchy signs. Bastina stops by to shake Kieran's hand and marks him with an X. She tells him to give his nephew regards when he sees him in hell, and Kieran stares horrified at the X. And Elijah looks at Tunde's body, and Marcel says it's an omen from the witches. Klaus wonders why he's dead when he was supposed to be the witches' prize fighter, which gave all the witches hope. He's very surprised that he died. I myself was surprised that he died, because he seemed like he had all this power, and he seemed like a really powerful being. I thought he'd be like the big villain, but of course that goes to Celeste. Hayley comes in and says that she thinks Celeste is back. They don't know that Sabine is really Celeste. Klaus says the witches are declaring war on the vampires. Rebecca then pours a scotch, and Elijah tells her that Hayley isn't safe there. He asks her to take Hayley to a plantation house to keep her safe. Rebecca says he should let Hayley decide and asks why he's making decisions for her. And Elijah says he can't take her there because he doesn't have his emotions under control. When it comes to Hayley, Rebecca says Hayley will resend being told what to do, but it will take her to end the quarrel she and Hayley are having. So Marcel then pins Rebecca to the wall, says he thinks he saw Genevieve. Now, Genevieve is a formerly dead witch that he thinks has been resurrected. It's also the red-headed witch that we saw before. He says if she is back, she could reveal a lot of secrets that the two of them don't want out, and she tells him to end Genevieve like they did last time. Genevieve is in Cami's bar and orders tea. Kieran comes in. Cami tells him to get lost. She's not happy about him chatting up Klaus. He tells her that he has to try and keep the peace. He asks for a drink and says he has to tell her something. She does, and he takes it with a shaky hand. She asks what's wrong, and he says he's in trouble. He says what happened to her brother Sean is about to happen to him too. So Kieran shows her the X on his hand and says he's been hexed and doesn't know how long he has. Cami says she knows someone who can help him. He says when it gets bad, she needs to get far away from him. Now, as much as I don't like Cami, you do have to feel for her here. Father Kieran really is the only relative she has right now. The only person she really trusts is Father Kieran. As much as she can be annoying, I feel for her here. I do. Genevieve comes down the bar, tells him to save his life, all she has to do to put this in Klaus's heart, and she reveals the bone knife that's infused with the power Tunde collected and then sacrificed himself to supercharge. So Rebecca and Hayley arrive at the plantation house. Rebecca is surprised she came willingly. Hayley admits that she wants to invite a few people over the new moon. She wants to have her clansmen over because they are only human during the moon. A delivery guy comes out of the house. He brought the keg, and Rebecca isn't pleased. She set up the party without permission. Hayley asks her to be cool and help her throw a good party, and then Celeste walks the quarter and sees Elijah. He tells her the family needs an ally among the witches, and she says there will be no peace as long as Klaus is in the city. He asks her to take a walk with him, to take him on one of her ghost tours. So then Monique asks Sophie what happened to her mom. She says that she thought she could bring her back after the sacrifice, but instead she lost her life. Sophie admits she lost her faith, but has since recovered it. Marcel is there and tells him he has nerve showing up since he killed her mother. He tells them he wants the 3 other sacrifice witches back. Sophie says he just wants Davina's power back, but Monique believes that he's really in there to help and truly wants Davina back for affectionate reasons. So they're kind of in the process now of trying to get Davina back. I'm thinking when they come back from the hiatus, that is going to be the episode where Davina comes back. I know she's coming back because Daniel Campbell is still on set. She said, I'm still on set, I'm still enjoying it. She said, I am, not I was. So that means that Davina will be coming back, we just don't know when. Which I do like. So Klaus then meets up with Cami, tells him her worries about Kieran's fate, and that it will be the same as her brother. Klaus tells her he knows why she hates him and says he has done bad things. He says that the lies Kieran told her were to protect her and that Kieran has a good heart. He tells her that their attack on Kieran proves they are the enemy. She pulls out the bone knife, holds it to him, she hands it over to him, and he recognizes it as Tunde. She tells him that the witch said she should cure Kieran if she puts it in his heart, and said it would torment even an original. So she says she didn't do it because she's not a monster and wants to be on the winning side if there's going to be a war. She obviously thinks the vampires are going to win, and Klaus agrees to help save her Uncle Kieran. So at the plantation house, Hayley hangs out clothes on the line. A wolf shows up. Hayley smiles at it and says hello again. She tells the animal she's looking forward to meeting it. The moon is nearly full. Klaus drains some of his blood into a chalice, but Kieran is offended that he's using the commune cup to donate blood to try and heal him. Kieran slices his hand. He has the verve out, so Klaus can compel him not to go crazy. Wolves turn human, begin plucking clothes from the line that Hayley left out for them. One guy walks in, and Rebecca's impressed, probably because she thinks this guy is attractive. So she tells him she was expecting something furrier. He asks if she's original. She says he should say it with more respect. He asks her name, and she smiles and tells him she calls up for Hayley to tell her the party is starting. So Sophie tells Marcel she has enough power to do a locator spell. She says if she betrays the witches, she'll be killed. And he says he'll protect her and says he can't. She says she's not going to pull Monique in the middle of the war, and she wants money to send her niece out of town. So the party is now in full swing. The wolf is clothed and drags Rebecca out to dance. She tells him her mind is distracted, but he tells her she needs to let loose and celebrate. He tells her he's going to dance, and that he's going to dance, and she loosens up and starts to dance with him. Hayley's serving up beer and watches the two dance. She has him in the house to do some picking up. Another wolf comes in, tells her his name is Jackson. She asks if he's the one who's been watching her. He tells her she's precious cargo, and she says she knows about the miracle baby. He says it's more than that, and he's interested in her. He says their parents know each other and explain that the two of them were supposed to be a matroid pair. So now she's shocked. Celeste and Elijah are walking. She tells him about buildings destroying the fire in the 1700s, and he tells her that he's not sure he's ready to betray Klaus, and then calls her Celeste. He knows she is Celeste. And this is huge when he found out. She asks how he knew. He says he realized it could be possible that she cheated death back in the day. He says she tricked him into killing the last elder, and says she's been playing a very long game. He wants to know why. Celeste steps closer, kisses him. He returns her kiss. She tells him that he's her lost love. And she says after all this time, he should understand. She says she died because of Klaus, and yet he stood by his brother. He realizes she's done something to him, and she says it's a simple enchantment. He staggers and then collapses down to the ground. So obviously, what Celeste just said to Klaus was complete bullshit, because Celeste is a big villain here. So Celeste just wants power. That's all Celeste really wants, is just power. So then Klaus tells Kieran to drink his blood to heal his wound. He looks into Kieran's eyes, compels him to resist the hex. Cami asks if it works, and Kieran isn't sure of anything except that his vervain is gone. He's at the mercy of killing Klaus. He curses at Cami. Klaus, realizing that the compelling isn't the answer, he heads off to find Davina and stop her. Marcel is pushing Sophie to work the spell. It finally starts working. Klaus comes in, says he doesn't need the low-carry spell when he has the leverage he needs, and snatches up Monique. So Klaus drags Monique down the street of the quarter, calls out to the witches. He says he will send her back to the death from which she just rose unless they hand over Davina. And Marcel tries to stop him, and Klaus holds out the bone knife to her throat. Marcel attacks him, they struggle, and Klaus snaps his neck. Sophie shows up, grabs the knife, and plunges it into Klaus's chest. His body absorbs the entire knife. He screams in pain, falls to his knees, and then collapses. Davina appears and says she'll take it from there. Obviously, we know these two are not going to die. We just know they're unconscious, and we'll have to see what happens when we come back. So now Jackson sits at the piano, plans for Hayley. He tells her he's known a lot of tricks in it. She just wanted to meet her family, not a husband from a weird-ass arranged marriage. He says the Crescents aren't just any pack, but the bloodline goes back to the beginning. There are these two families, his and hers, and he says they're basically wolf royalty. So Elijah searches for Rebecca. Celeste shows up, and Rebecca had gone with Genevieve at this point. She says that Genevieve is the only one that knows where Rebecca is, and that Davina has Klaus tucked away and is making him suffer. He walks towards her. She says always isn't forever after all. Jackson watches the fire burn, then tells Hayley he has to go. She thanks him for protecting her, and he says he's been dreaming about her since they were kids. She promises him she'll find a way to break the curse, and he leaves. So I'm thinking that Hayley and Jackson might have something going on there, which should be interesting, because now it should be interesting, because she's now in a love triangle between these two, and I'm assuming we're going to see Jackson again. Cami then calls Klaus, asks where he is. She's with Kieran. Bastina's there and says that he's indisposed. She tells Cami that because she annulled up the bargain, Kieran will die. She says that his punishment will atone and purify him. She says that opposing him is opposing the natural order. She says the witches of the quarter will rise again. Kieran is looking rough. Diego gives Marcel an update and says he can't find Klaus. Elijah comes in, demands to know where Klaus is. Elijah kicks the ass and then tells Marcel that the witches have Klaus and Rebecca. He demands that the vampires help him and says he's going to kill all the witches. So they think they're going to kill all the witches, but as soon as this happens, we then see Sophie. She's trying to drag Monique out of town, but Monique doesn't want to go. Sophie tells her she can have a normal life without all the witchcraft nonsense. Monique tells her that she is a witch and doesn't want to go. Here's where we find out she does not want to be like Davina at all. She causes Sophie pain and says the ancestor told her she was weak. She says she knows she tried to stop the harvest. Monique tells her they will rip the city apart and destroy anyone without faith. Sophie then has blood running out her eyes and nose, begs Monique to stop, and she falls down dead. Monique then walks away to the other three witches, Bastina, Genevieve, and Celeste, and that's the end. So Sophie is now dead. I basically thought Sophie was going to die. I predicted that Sophie would be the next one to die, especially when they said another major character will be killed off. I knew it'd be Sophie. I didn't think she'd die like this. I thought she'd actually sacrifice herself to bring Davina back. But now their chances of bringing Davina back are very, very low, because Sophie was really the only way they could do it, and now Sophie's dead. So now that Sophie's dead, I don't know what's going to happen here. I really enjoyed this episode, though. What I really like is we have a lot going for everyone. Are you very surprised that Elijah knew that, that Sabine was Celeste? I was very surprised that he knew all that time that Sabine was Celeste. I thought that was big, really, really big. What about Jackson? Do you think Jackson and Hayley might start up something? It seems clearly like they will. Do you think Marcel will be successful in killing all the witches? I doubt it, because it looks like the witches now are going to take over everything. It's going to be crazy to see. But overall, I love this episode. I thought it was fantastic. It was probably my second favorite episode this season. My favorite is still the one where they killed all, the one with Davina dying. I thought that was an amazing episode, but this one was great too. That's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Unfortunately, this show is off for a 3-week hiatus, so I'll see you guys when it returns. But my next review will be for, I don't know, but I'll see you guys then. Bye.